Hey, welcome to the Keith Lowry channel here. We try to cover anything educational and or fun. I try to post videos as often as I can. Hopefully this one you might find a little bit educational. We're going to be working on my 2005 Nissan Frontier LE. We have an air conditioning problem. It's not blowing out cold air. The condenser does appear to be operational. We're going to hook up the gauges to it and run some tests as per the factory service manual and compare the readings and see what we end up with and see if we can find a way to go from there. Alright, let's get started. Alright, here we are with my 2005 Nissan Frontier. We're going to go ahead and show you how to hook up the high side and low side gauges from your manifold gauge set so you can go ahead and try to get an understanding of what's going on with your system. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the background noise. My neighbor just pulled up in her truck. Alright, first off, on your manifold gauge set, when you have it setting up, you want to make sure you've got this side closed, turned all the way clockwise, and your high side closed, turned all the way clockwise. You don't want to introduce any air or anything like that into your system by having that open to the middle port, which right now, as you can see, is completely open. You only use the middle port for charging and evacuating the system, which if it shows that we need to, I'll go ahead and demonstrate that today as well. As far as the charge goes, we're going to see what the readings show and then compare it to the Nissan factory service manual specifications. Alright, one of the next things you need to check is on your manifold gauges, the part that actually connects to your system. You want to make sure that it's closed, and that's going to be all the way counterclockwise, because what that does is raises that little needle that presses against, if you can see it, that little Schrader valve inside of your AC system. So you want to go all the way counterclockwise and make sure it's closed. And these will only fit on one side, so your low side will only fit on your low side and your high side will only fit on your high side. Now mind you, we are working on an R130A4 system. We're going to go ahead and connect our low side gauge. Nothing should happen once we get it on there. There we go. It just snaps, locks in. Sorry, didn't have you on there. It just snaps down like this. Snaps down and then locks into place. Can't pull it up anymore. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and move over to the other side. Notice no changes here because we haven't engaged that Schrader valve, so you shouldn't see any changes in pressure as long as you have this thing closed. Now on your high side, you're going to want to do the same thing. Make sure that's closed, twist it all the way counterclockwise, and then you find your high side valve, you take off your cover, and in this case the high side valve's right here on this truck, and just click it on there. Make sure you get a good fit. There we go. Got a good fit. All right. Now you want to go ahead and run open your gauges. In doing this step, I like to take my time, and I will slowly run open the low side gauge first, and I will go just until I hear the sound of refrigerant, or until I see movement on my gauges. And as you will see, my gauge is now showing about 75 psi of pressure on the low side. This is my static rest pressure, mind you. I do not have my AC compressor running or the vehicle started. Okay, and notice the high side still showing 0. So we're going to come on down to here, and we're going to open up our high side valve. Just spinning it till we feel it get loose, meet some resistance. Here's some refrigerant charge in, and then we see that we have a high side reading. Now at static pressure, technically our high side reading and our low side reading should be about the same. So as I said, we were seeing about 75, 74 right here. Over here we're seeing about, sorry about that, we're seeing about 74. Alright, so at static pressure, we're seeing about 74 pounds of pressure. Alright, so for the next step of our diagnostic video, we need to get inside the vehicle, engage the air conditioning system, set it to certain settings, and then see what our readings are after 10 minutes of operation. Sorry for the beeping, got the door open. First things first, we got to make sure we are set to the coldest setting, vent setting to uppermost vents, blower motor to 4, then AC on with recirculation on. I just heard the compressor clutch kick on, but I'll see if I can get you guys a shot of the compressor spinning. And as you can see on this 2005 Nissan Frontier, we have our gauges hooked up and our engine running. We've been running for about 3 minutes so far. Our low side gauge is showing almost 5 psi. Our high side gauge is showing about 108, 110, 115. Oops, sorry about that. About 115. Alright, trying to show you down way in there. Don't have a laser pointer or anything to show you with, but that brownish most looking spinning thing, that's the actual compressor pulley engaged and operating the compressor. And the fan pulling air across the condenser, as you can see in the radiator. Now, knowing the condenser is operating saves us from a few checks. We don't need to check any electrical connections. We don't need to make sure that our positives are working, our grounds are working. We know that the signal is being sent by the computer to engage the compressor, and it's able to continue to continuously run so far. Alright, so far we're showing an ambient temperature coming out of the vents of 84.6 degrees. It shows to be about 86 degrees outside today. We're going to walk around, take a look at our gauges. Alright, here on our manifold gauges, we're showing about 15 to 16 on the low side, and on the high side we're showing right at about 150, and this has been after about 15 minutes of operation. Alright, while I was feeling around wires and thermal expansion valves, looks like a heater hose broke that went into my heater core. So now I'm gonna have to replace that. So that put us on pause for the air conditioning repair video. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to disconnect the gauges. Alright, go ahead and start with your low side. Run it to the left to open it up to remove the pressure from that Schrader valve. Once you fill it bottom out, you should be good. You can go ahead and lift it and pull it. No leaks. All good. Then we move over to the high pressure side. Do the same thing. Run it to the left. Feel it get resistance. We're good. Open it up. And now we have disconnected our manifold gauges from the system. Important thing not to forget to do is to replace your caps. What we have here is the high pressure service side cap. And the low pressure service side cap. And that completes what we can do with the AC today, guys. I'll get you back up to speed when I get the rest of it going.